Hi family, it's the Narasia, and we are back with another video podcast for you today. And I'm doing a lot of moving. This is volume 5, and I'm super excited. Today has been definitely a bit of a roller coaster for me. I have so many things to talk about, man. Where do I begin? I'm trying to hear a source. I'm trying to hear fully before I say the message. Transition. That's what I hear. Transition, and I want to use the word fight, but that's not coming out how I want it to come out. I don't want to use that word because we should not be fighting. So we're going to focus on the word transition in this moment. I think that another word will come out for what I am trying to say as we talk about transition. So Naraja, transition, what do you mean by that? Transform your mind, transform your conscience. And this podcast really has been about rich mindset. How do you get the rich mindset? And I've been getting some views, and I'm like, okay. And for those that are getting through, and those that are watching, and those that are taking in what I am saying and how I'm trying to present it to y'all, when we talk about transition, you need to be fully ready. When we talk about transition, you need to be, I want to use the word obsessed, but not the word obsessed. You just need to want to give it your all. When you're transitioning, you can't half-ass. When you're transitioning, you can't, how do I say it? You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And when you're transitioning, you can't be one door open and another door open and you're trying to go through both. No, you need to pick one key, choose that key, and fully walk through it all the way. That is what I mean by transition. And as I'm going through my quantum shift and the days are like collapsing on top of each other, and I see everything for what it is, and I'm feeling everything for what it is. I'm feeling these emotions, and I'm literally understanding what's going on, and it's a lot. It's a lot to process, and you aren't alone. I was fighting a lot of thoughts today, fighting off a lot of thoughts that aren't of mine. And when we talk about transform, you need to know where you come from. That is one thing I will say. Know where you come from. Know what battles you're facing. And we touched base on that before, like, where are your roots from? Where do you come from? What conscience do you come from? What traumas does your lineage carry that you're finding? And that all plays the biggest role in your transformation, because you're transforming what was the generation prior to the generation now, to the generation what will be. So as we're transforming, and as we're getting one with self, and getting one with conscience, and getting one with the universe, and getting one with the creator, and getting one with conscience and source, you need to fully understand who you are. And transformation means going deep within, getting all the mud, all the dirt, all everything. Dig it up. When I was younger, I'm thinking of two ways to put it. And when I was younger, I was such an earthy girl. I remember being in preschool, and I was just always like more so to myself. And now knowing, like, I would rather much be by myself. Like, I have that one best friend that I just love and adore, and I have other friends as well that I love and adore. But I have that one best friend, that one friend that it's always home, and we just always uplift each other. We always feel light with one another. But I'm going to say that transformation involves you digging up the ugly, digging up all the bad. And it's like, it's scary. It's so scary, because it's like, you don't know what thoughts that'll bring up. You don't know how it'll change you mentally. But isn't that what it's all about? This whole podcast is about elevating. This whole podcast is about taking you from where you are in this moment, or where you started, from where you started watching these videos, to elevating your mind, elevating your conscience, elevating your spirit, elevating you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And that's the whole goal. That's the whole goal of my fractal, the whole goal of my tribe. And if you're listening and you're hearing and you keep coming back to these videos and you keep coming back to these videos, take the notes that you can. So I was like, okay, Chanel, you kind of got off. Yes. So when I was in preschool, I remember always being in the dirt. And I used to love digging. I used to dig. And I vividly just remember this. It's like a core memory for me. I don't know if you remember Inside Out or seen Inside Out, but that movie, when Joy was holding on to those precious, precious core memories. And it's all a perspective. You know, all memories are of perspective, because when joy touched it, it was joy. When anger touched it, it was anger. And we feel all of these emotions. We can feel all of these emotions in the amount of 30 seconds. So that's another thing, like being able to control you. So, you know, the core memory is me digging in the dirt, looking for worms. Ew, Chanel, worms. Ew, I know. Ill Narasia worms. Sorry, I said Chanel, but Chanel's the middle name. Ill Narasia worms. Yeah, I know, but no buts. You know what I think is nasty? As a child, though, not realizing I'm grounding with the earth. I was grounding with the earth. I was one with the earth. I was at the most pure mindset I could be at. Like, that's the most gracious thing ever. And I use this word grace because the universe continuously shows me grace, and I'm so grateful for it. And you know, if you don't start your mornings off, this is another thing, like if you don't start your mornings off with gratitude, it's a form of prayer. It's a form of however you want to see it through. It's a form of manifestation. You know, what are you grateful for when you wake up? You should be grateful. You should be aware that you were able to breathe this waking. You know, a lot of people went to sleep in the conscious mindset that they were going to be able to wake again. You know, so transformation it's everything. It's the good, the bad, the luck, the ugly, the gorgeous, beautiful rainy days, the gorgeous, beautiful sunny skies, the radiant sun just beaming on our skin. Like, it's all just being one, being connected, you know. And we talk about this constantly. This is volume 5, and you know, you're probably hearing the same thing. So how do I get from my transformation? Baby, you have to do the shadow work. Okay, Chanel, where do I start? The shadow work, I keep saying Chanel. I'm so used to being called Chanel. I need to narration. You start with you. You know, start with your trauma, start with your baggage, start with your... And shadow work doesn't even have to be bad. You know, shadow, we push it as, oh, it has to be bad. No, but shadow work could be like, for me, for example, growing up, I just knew I was going to be on stage. I knew I was going to be a singer. I knew I was going to be using my voice to touch the world, to touch souls. And it is that, but just not in the way that I'm thinking. You know, I thought I was going to be writing songs. I could write a song in 3 minutes, a heartbeat. Just like that. You give me a pen and paper, give me a note, give me some notes, give me a tune, baby. I am writing that song. But I know that that reality is not my calling. My reality is bringing conscience one with self. You know, that's the reality. And for ages, the conscience has been so lost. So it's waking up, it's warming, we're the mama rooster, the mama chicken, I don't even know what animal it is, but we right now, we're on top of the egg. And the egg is heating, the egg is brewing, the egg is warming for it to be cracked and birthed. So, like I said, transformation, doing the shadow work, it doesn't have to be all bad. You know, you can be the most pure soul and understand you from the beginning to now. It's like, okay, Narasia, what do you mean? For example, I just told you guys, I genuinely thought I was going to be a singer. I genuinely thought, like, I knew, like I said, I knew I would be using my voice. I just thought I'd be using my voice to sing. But Source is like, no, we need your frequency to touch souls. We need your frequency to be the one, to be one of the ones. Many of us need to be doing it, should be doing it. You know, it's time to stop living in fear. And that's the transformation, you know. Today I was with my grandma, I was with my mom, my dad, my baby sister. And we're on the car, and me and my grandma we're talking about how the times have changed from. Now my great grandma is still alive. So in her ages, in her times, in her modern day, you know, you're married. My grandma was telling me, like, they were married, but there was a nightstand between them, and they're sleeping on twin beds, you know. And now we're married. We have our own lives through these Apple phones, and we have our own lives through these Android phones, but we come together as one in the bed. And we talked about, you know, transformation calls for boundaries, and that's what I am also talking with right now with my therapist. You know, setting those boundaries and setting those intentions that you need for yourself as a being, you know, just being here. That's what calls for transformation. Like, we have to stop living in fear. We have to stop having that scarcity mindset. And we have to be willing to do the work. It gets ugly, it gets gritty, it gets emotional, you know. And we talked about my story about grounding with the earth, digging for the worms, and not knowing what I'm doing, but me just getting in the dirt and being able to find the worm. And, you know, worms get right up in there. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, like, that worm he was running away from me, but I'm like, no, you're coming to me. I did not eat the worm, so don't think of nothing like that. Like, no. But, you know, I was, the touch, the feeling, the sensitivity, you know, at that mindset, I was such in my pure state. So all my chakras were open as much as they could be. Everything was just open and pure. And that's what it's all about, is getting back in nature. I know we talked about, you know, we briefly touch every time my Charlotte experience. Sorry, got a little jump scare. My Charlotte experience, and I remember coming back, and I never, not that I can recall. No, I always remember, like, playing around in trees and stuff. But I cannot recall the time where I climbed in a tree. Don't know, you know, just climbed in a tree as a kid. You know, when I was a kid, like, I was a little extra hefty girl, so I never really tried to do that. Like, I'm not gonna be able to pull myself up. Anywho, so get back to Charlotte, and I just knew I needed to ground it. And, like, the trees, those are the one things that, if you need a reboot, baby, get up in that tree. Okay? My conscience got me up in that tree. I climbed up in that tree, y'all, and I just laid there. I fell asleep. And it was the way that I laid in the tree, and the sun was hitting me, and the rays of the sun were just beaming on me. It was a rebirth. It was a wake-up call. It was like, welcome home. It was a welcome home. Especially after the traumatic thing I was going through consciously. I needed it, you know, to be able to have my spine touch against the branches, the roots, to be closer to the sun than I am on the ground. You know, I know you're probably like, girl, what are you talking about? If you know, you know. Ground. We're talking about grounding. You know, we started from me as a baby being in the dirt to now me as an adult. I was 21, climbing up in a tree. Something is just telling me, climb in the tree, lay in the tree. I laid there for about 30 minutes. Everybody was like, where? There was like, you know, my family calls me Chanel. They were like, you know, where's Chanel at? Chanel's up in the tree grounding, baby. She's rebooting. So transformation is so beautiful, and we go through these things daily. We go through these things weekly. So I'm here to tell you, like, transform. You know, if it's that job, keep the job until you start something else. But change it. You're not stuck. Don't put yourself in that mindset. The conscience, I want to call it a conscience cage. Like, don't do that. Don't put limitations on yourself. There is no limit. And I said it in one of my videos. It was before my rebrand. Not before my rebrand. Before me consciously getting back to my identity. You know, I talked about how there's no sky. There's no sky. So why set a limit on yourself? You know? I know that transformation can be hard. It can be scary. It can be nerve-wracking because you don't know what's going to come of it. But that's the whole joy. Like, we wake up every day not knowing what's going to happen when we walk out that door. But we know when we walk out that door, we're going to make the best of what it is. So that's what it's all about. It's all about getting one with yourself, you know, grounding with yourself. These are the notes. One with yourself, grounding, doing the shadow work, the good, the bad. I'm going to leave it at this. I'm a Pinterest girly. So I'm on Pinterest and the lotus flower came up. And the quote was of the context as the lotus flower starts in the dark. It starts in the mud. It starts in the dirty. But it grows into something beautifully gorgeous. It grows into, you know, a lily flower, a lotus. It grows into a lotus. I don't want to say the wrong thing. How could I say the wrong thing? We're talking about growth. Growth is everything. So, yeah, y'all. Start in the dark. Start in the dirty, the sticky, the things you really don't want to touch. Start there. Start there. Grow there. Journal. Remember, set those boundaries. We need to change the generational outlook. We need to. It's sparked and it's doing the job. So it's us as conscience right now to continuously push forward and to not give in, not to cave in. Today, my mind tried to cave in. Today, my mind tried to give in. And I was fighting. And it really took me to... And then this is also why I said it really took me to sit down with my grandma. And, you know, I'm having these conversations with her. And I'm talking with her, and she's telling me how, you know, when she was my age, she experienced, or, you know, throughout her experience, she's experienced the mental things that I'm going through, and the essence of feeling down in the dark. So, talk to your family. Learn your family. That's the part of transformation. You got to know where your roots came from. You know, an apple seed doesn't grow from a cherry seed. A cherry seed doesn't grow from a mango seed. A mango seed doesn't grow from a strawberry seed. It grows from the strawberry. Sorry. The mango grows from the mango, and the strawberry grows from the strawberry. And if you're with me, I hope you're with me, and I hope I call everybody with that. Learn your seeds, learn your roots. That way you understand what you're fighting. You know, I'm not only fighting my own battles. I'm fighting the generations. I'm battling. I'm decoding. That's the word. Not fight, guys. I knew it would come to me. Decode. I'm decoding the generations prior to me to create new codes, create new light codes. We're all star seeds. We are all starlights. We are all We are all one of source. Sun gods. Like, this is real. This is real life stuff, and that spiritual warfare, it's so real. So, have those conversations with your parents. Have those conversations with your grandparents. Have those conversations with your great-grands, your great-great-grands if they're still alive. Have the conversations. Because you're going to go through and you're going to start realizing, like, this ain't just for me. This is for the generation prior to me. And this is not only for the generation prior to me. This is for the generation after me. And the generations after them. And the generations after them. Transformation. Transform your mind. Transform your mental. Remember, spread light, spread unity, spread harmony, spread love, and spread peace. This is Narisha Farmer, and this is volume number 5. Yeah, volume number 5. So I will see y'all in the next video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I will see y'all next time. Mwah.